What's up, everybody? Welcome back to those of you that are returning. Today we'll be reading Matthew chapter 5. I'm reading from the NLT, New Living Translation. So chapter 5 is the Sermon on the Mount. Okay, arguably one of the most important sermons that Jesus ever gave. There's a lot in here. Okay, so we will be going over a lot of it. I will be stopping, explaining a lot of the things, so this might be more than just one video, could be two, maybe even three, hopefully not that long, okay? So we're going to dive in, bear with me. Like I said, I'll be trying to stop and explain a lot of this. All right, let's begin. One day, as the crowds were gathering, Jesus went up to the mountainside with his disciples and sat down to teach them. This is what he taught them. God bless those who realize their need for him, for the kingdom of heaven is given to them. God bless those who mourn, for they will be comforted. God bless those who are gentle and lowly, for the whole earth will belong to them. God bless those who are hungry and thirsty for justice, for they will receive it in full. God bless those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. God bless those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. God bless those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. God bless those who are persecuted because they live for God, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God bless you when you are mocked and persecuted and lied about because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted too. All right, here's where we're going to start diving in. Teaching about salt and light. You are the salt of the earth, but what good is salt if it has lost its flavor? Can you make it useful again? It will be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. You are the light of the world, like a city on a mountain, glowing in the night for all to see. Don't hide your light under a basket. Instead, put it out on a stand and let it shine for all. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. Okay, we're going to stop there for a second. Salt, obviously, loses flavor. It's no good, right? If you're a Christian and if you stop preaching, stop talking about God, and stop showing your flavor of salt, you're no good anymore, right? Same thing with the light. If you have the light of Jesus in you, if you have the light of God in you, go ahead and shine it, okay? Don't try to hide it. You're not going to take a light. In other parts of the Bible, it says you're not going to take a candle and put it under the bed, otherwise it's not going to produce any light. So if you have that light, shine it on others, all right? Teaching about the law. Don't misunderstand why I came. I did not come to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. No, I came to fulfill them. I assure you, until heaven and earth disappear, even the smallest details of God's law will remain until its purpose is achieved. If you break the smallest commandment and teach others to do the same, you will be the least in the kingdom of heaven. But anyone who obeys God's laws and teaches them will be great in the kingdom of heaven. But I warn you, unless you obey God better than the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees do, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven at all. I mean, pretty clear as daylight. A lot of the people argue that, the law of the Old Testament no longer relevant because Jesus came. And I heard that a lot when I was younger, before I actually started reading. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he states it. I can't make it any clearer than this, right? He didn't come here to abolish the law. He came here to fulfill it. All right, let's continue. Teaching about anger. You have heard that the law of Moses says, do not murder. If you commit murder, you are subject to judgment. But I say, if you are angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. If you call someone an idiot, you're in danger of being brought before the high council. And if you curse someone, you're in danger of the fires of hell. I'm going to pause there for a second. Curse, what they mean by that, right? It's not just saying cuss words and stuff like that. Cursing, whether you like it or not, spiritual existence is all around us. Cursing is a very real thing to this day. It's not just in Hollywood movies about witchcraft or about Halloween and stuff like that. Curses are very real. to this day still happen, and that's what he's saying with that. Do not curse anybody. Hopefully none of you actually know how to do that, because that's part of like the witchcraft and all that evil stuff. No. Besides countless of examples of curses and stuff like that, testimonies that you can find on internet, I have a friend of mine whose father was actually who got cursed, right? I'm not going to go into full details about names or anything like that. The individual had personal issues, I guess I could say, health issues, and some people showed up to him, knew him exactly by name, knew everything that was wrong with him, and said, come to this country with us, we'll fix you. Not knowing any better, that individual decided to follow them to said country, met them. They made a drink for him, but in order for that drink to work, they had to use part of his hair. Immediately, as soon as he said that, they came to him and knew him by name and told him to come to this country so that they can help him. Immediately, in my head, something clicked. I was like, that's witchcraft, right? And eventually, it happened to be witchcraft. So he followed. He drank that drink. They gave him a whole entire like 5-gallon thing of this drink to continue drinking throughout the next following several weeks. So as he kept on drinking it, he kept on getting worse and worse until he was hospitalized and pretty much in a coma, like ready to die. But God had other plans for him, and he recovered after a lot of prayer and a lot of God's intervention in it. He pulled through and started going to church. Crazy story. I don't want to go, like I said, I don't want to go into too many details about who it is. But that story kind of blew me away, hearing it, in person from somebody. Anyways, let's continue. So if you're standing before an altar in the temple offering a sacrifice to God, and you suddenly remember that someone has something against you, leave your sacrifice there, besides the altar, go and be reconciled to that person. Then come and offer your sacrifice to God. Come to terms quickly with your enemy before it is too late and you're dragged into court, handed over to an officer, and thrown in jail. I assure you that you won't be free again until you have paid the last penny. Teaching about adultery now. You have heard that the law of Moses says, do not commit adultery. But I say, anyone who even looks at a woman with lust in his eyes has already committed adultery with her in his heart. That is a hard one to swallow, right? Especially for us guys. I know it is for me. I have been guilty of it for years of my life. Even to this day, I still struggle with it. But it's hard, right? It's those temptations, then we have to keep on fighting them. We have to keep on overcoming them and turning to God instead. Let's continue. It's not just for guys too, right? It's for women as well. But let's continue. I'll kind of break it down a little bit further here. So if your eye, even if it is your good eye, causes you to lust, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your hand, even if it's your strong hand, causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. This is kind of where I'm going to break it down. This passage here is still kind of, part of me still thinks of it as literally, because if you can't stop looking at inappropriate videos on the internet, you know what I mean? And if you can't stop looking at women, probably better to just gouge your eye out than to go to hell. If it's your right hand, and we're kind of like this adult platform, right? If you're using your right hand to constantly pleasure yourself, probably better to just cut it off, right, than entirely go to hell. That's my literal kind of interpretation of it. Another part of me thinks, if it's your Facebook, if it's your Instagram, right, if you follow a bunch of girls on there, and you can't stop looking at them, and you follow more and you like their pictures and stuff like that, it's probably better to just go ahead and delete those apps, right? If you're a girl and you're doing the same thing, probably, don't go and look up celebrities on the beach shirtless and stuff like that on Google. Let's not, right? So if those things are causing you to sin, go ahead and get rid of them in your life. If it is your phone entirely, right? If you just can't help, every time you get on, you go to certain sites that are full of adult content, right? Maybe it is better for you to just go ahead and get a flip phone with some buttons and use the T9 again to text, right? That's my kind of another part of my interpretation on that. Same thing goes for the gym. If you go to the gym and you can't control yourself because of all the girls, or you can't stop looking at them and then fantasizing about them when you come back home, and that goes for both girls and guys. If it's the gym, maybe switch the gym, stop going to that one, go to a different one. If a different one is the same way, maybe invest some money and build a gym at your house, in your garage or something like that, in your basement, right? But try to do whatever you can to get away from that entirely, rather than putting yourself into those tempting situations. Teaching about divorce. This one's going to ruffle some feathers. All right. You have heard that the law of Moses says a man can divorce his wife by merely giving her a letter of divorce. But I say that a man who divorces his wife, unless she has been unfaithful, causes her to commit adultery. And anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. There's no further breakdown of that. That's it. Right here. Sorry, I know it's going to offend a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be unhappy about it. I'm just the messenger. I'm reading you what the book says. Teaching about vows. Again, you have heard that the law of Moses says, do not break your vows. You must carry out the vows you have made to the Lord. But I say, don't make any vows. If you say by heavens, it is a sacred vow because heavens is God's throne. And if you say by the earth, it is a sacred vow because the earth is his footstool. And don't swear by Jerusalem, for Jerusalem is the city of the great king. Don't even swear by my head, for if you can't turn one hair white or black, just say a simple yes I will or no I won't. Your word is enough. To strengthen your promise with a vow shows that something is wrong. A lot of people do this all the time. My wife, for years, in the beginning of our marriage, she was always like, swear on your mom, swear on this, swear on that. And I always told her, no. I'm not going to swear on anything. I'm going to let my yes be yes and my no be no. Right? A lot of people are like, I swear on the grave of so-and-so, or, stop doing that. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. You have no control over anything else. If you're going to be swearing up and down about whatever, chances are there's probably something mischievous happening there, okay? Again, let your yes be yes, your no be no. Let's continue. Teaching about revenge. You have heard that the law of Moses says, if an eye is injured, injure the eye of the person who did it. If a tooth gets knocked out, knock out the tooth of the person who did it. But I say, don't resist an evil person. If you're slapped on the right cheek, turn the other too. If you are ordered to court and your shirt is taken from you, give your coat too. If a soldier demands that you carry his gear for a mile, carry it 2 miles. Give to those who ask, and don't turn away from those who want to borrow. This passage gets used a lot as well, right? If you get slapped on one cheek, just turn the other. What he means by that, in my personal interpretation, is if you get slapped on one side, turn that side, the angry side, the one that's hot and beaming and angry right now just because it got slapped, turn that one away, and turn the cool, calm, and collected side of your cheek to the person to have a conversation, right? So if somebody's going to hurt you, don't retaliate with anger. Retaliate with peace and love and kindness, and hopefully that will calm them down and the situation can get resolved. And again, give to those who ask, and don't turn away from those who want to borrow. That's a hard one, especially with homeless people. I heard a story that an individual was saying, a homeless person came up to him asking for $1, and he's like, no, I'm not going to give you $1. Like, if you want some food, I'll go buy you some food, right? And then the person turned and went to another homeless guy and asked him for $1, and that other homeless guy gave him $1. And that person, the one that didn't give it $1, all of a sudden felt ashamed, like, God blessed me with this. Like, what am I going to go spend this $1 on? It's not like I'm going to go and, do some prophetic or go donate it to a church. I'm going to go buy it for my own desires. Whether it's nicotine or, I might go buy alcohol myself, or I might go buy pizza or something else that I don't need, right? So why couldn't I give that dollar? Give to those who ask, and don't turn away from those who want to borrow. Be that light for people, right? Be that light for people. Be that salt that hasn't lost the flavor. Let's continue. Teaching about love for enemies. This one's a hard one. You have heard that the law of Moses says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. In that way, you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and on the unjust too. If you love those who love you, what good is that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you're kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that. But you are to be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. This one is hard for a lot of people, and it's, I still struggle with it. I know a lot of people struggle with it in my family. Right? But you gotta forgive those. You gotta love your enemies, as difficult as it is. And there's a great example in Romans 5:8, which I'm about to read to you guys. Right? When you think that you can't do something because somebody done you wrong, I just want you guys to come back to this passage and think about it, right? But God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. All right, that's Romans 5:8. I'm going to read that again. But God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. While we were still disobedient to him, while we were still worshiping pagan gods and different idols, while we were still murdering and massacring and raping and doing all sorts of terrible things, God still, during that time, God sent his son to die for us while we were still sinners. So think about that, right? Next time somebody makes you super angry and you don't want to show love to them. Anyways, this was a super long video. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of information here that I'm going to break down and kind of talk about. Hopefully this helped some people. Thank you so much for sticking through, if you did stick through the entire time. Love you. God bless you and your families. I hope I see you guys on chapter 6.